when we're going live.
We are live.
Hello and welcome to the Eric and Liz show.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. And I echo it, hello, everyone, because now we're also recording.
All right. I hope you guys are doing well since last Thursday. I hope everyone is doing amazing. We had a really great show on last Thursday, and we have special guests this Thursday as well.
And I want to say, I would not have thought that so many people, listened to us and already went to vote. I mean, I think we did a really great job here, and advertising it, last show, people go vote, and God, the turns out are fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. We need to get in gear, and if you haven't voted, please go and vote.
Go and vote. It's very important. And also, just to let our viewers know, we are going to be dark next Thursday after the election, because I think there's going to be so much post-election coverage that we probably will be just lost in all that noise.
Yes.
And depending on what turns out, we will be either having a hangover from celebrating or a hangover from grief.
Yeah. So we'll just wish for the best. We'll pray for the best,
We wish for the best and outcome. And well, hey, without further ado, let's just let all our guests in. So here we go. I love that admitting people.
Can you hear me?
It's wonderful.
Yes. Hello, Vaughn.
How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Ready to tell my story.
All right. Hey, Jaleesa.
Yeah, everybody is coming in.
All right.
Well, Vaughn definitely is already here with sound, so that's great.
Can you see my picture?
Nope.
No, we don't see your picture.
Okay.
There you
gorgeous. Go. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Hi, Vaughn. All right.
Nice. Hi.
Oh, and we have Eddie here too. Hello, Eddie. Welcome to the show.
Hi,
hello,
Eddie.
Eric.
Hey, Jaleesa.
Jaleesa.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good. Everyone looks so good.
Thank you, Liz. You guys look awesome.
We thought because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month that Vaughn, you will be going first, and then we're going to have Eddie, and to close everything off with a divorce, we are going to have Jaleesa.
All right. So,
and welcome back to the show, because I think we're going to have some surprises. I just have a fear.
All right. So I'd like to introduce our first guest, Vaughn Ricketts, who is actually a flight attendant, and she is a breast cancer survivor from Oceanside, California. And our other guest, Adrian Pope, introduced me to Vaughn. So giving a shout out to Adrian for introducing me to beautiful Vaughn with her breast cancer survivor story. So welcome, Vaughn. Welcome to our show.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Yes.
Welcome, Vaughn.
Good to have you, and good having you in pink, the color of the month.
It's Breast Cancer Month.
Yeah, that's right.
Support the cause.
That's right. That's right. So I'd like to ask you to share a little bit about your story, and then I'll ask you a couple of more questions as well. If you could, if you'd like to share your story.
Okay. Initially, what I was doing when I first started, I was doing what I was supposed to do as far as doing my self-examinations until I reached the age of 40.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 40, a couple years into it, I was doing it annually and doing my self-checks, which was important. And then decided, because it was such an uncomfortable feeling, that I didn't need to do it every year. So my husband came to me one year after I had decided that I wanted to pass on it and asked me if I had done my mammograms. And I kind of pushed it away and told him, I'll do it later. And he persisted that I go in to get tested, that he was hearing so many different cases of women being diagnosed with breast cancer and that I should really stick to it, which it kind of caught me by surprise. So I went in and with dragging my feet in the mud, not really wanting to get it done because it's a really uncomfortable feeling.
Oh yeah.
And so when I went in there, I kind of had a nonchalant attitude about, let's just get this done. I got the test done, came home. My husband asked me about it. I told him it was done, but I'm sure I'm going to be called back in because I kind of didn't do my share of really cooperating. I just kind of let's get this over with. Sure enough, that night, they called me and said, come back in. And I knew when I went back in that it was my fault, that I thought maybe I just wasn't standing right. I wasn't positioning right in that machine and that they needed to take more tests. So at that point, I went back in and the lady said, I need you to come with me this way. And I said, well, I came through that door. And she said, no, I need you to come that way. And I said, okay. So I proceeded to go through that door. And at that point, the lady told me that there was cause for suspicion in my x-rays.
Okay.
So I thought, okay. So she said, I need to set you up for a biopsy. So we do the biopsy, got the test results on the biopsy, and set up an appointment to go to see my doctor. And it was the doctor that I didn't know, but it was an oncologist. So I went in to see him, and he told me that I had been diagnosed and that there was the first stage of breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
So at that point, I really didn't know what to do. My family was there with me. I went home and I just pretty much lost it. I decided that this was, why me? It was a pity party for about an hour, and decided that God put me on this journey for a reason and that I was gonna. So I immediately decided that I was gonna fight this. I was gonna fight this, and I was determined to make the best of it.
Right.
Went in to see the first doctor. He told me that I was in the best stage for detecting breast cancer, but he recommended the most drastic measures.
Oh, wow.
So I couldn't understand why, if I was in the better stage, why was I going the drastic measures? So I decided I wanted to get a second opinion. And one of my family friends decided that she had a doctor that she recommended, which he was a pediatric surgeon. And at that point, I decided to go in to see him. And he was like a father to me. He told me, he said, because I had two different sites, two different locations, I could either do a lumpectomy in two different sites and do radiation, or do the drastic measures and remove it completely.
Oh, wow.
Well, I didn't want to go through radiation only because it happened to be on my left side, which would have weakened my heart.
Oh.
I decided that, and he said, it's like a basket of strawberries. We see it molded and then we eat it, knowing that the other ones are going to mold. And I didn't want to live my life worried about if it was coming back, if it was spreading or anything. So I chose the drastic measure. And through that, I was determined to get it done and to put it behind me and to move on with life. So I did do that. He set me up for my plastic surgeon, and I went into my plastic surgeon, and he proceeded to tell me some of the things that he would do to put me back together pretty much. And it was never diagnosed in my family. There's nobody, I had no history of it at all. And I was the first in my family to be diagnosed with it. So they wouldn't take both. The other one was perfectly fine. So they decided to do a partial. So they only took one breast. And then he wanted to match it to my other one. And I said, match it to what other one? He said, I said, I've had 2 kids and I've been married for years and I'm over 40. I don't want another one like that. So he laughed with me and he said, okay, we'll make you beautiful. So at that point, we became a team. And we got through it, and through the surgeries, I managed to get through 1 complete marathon and 2 half marathons in between the surgical procedures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
awesome.
I'm here today to say that anybody can do it. It's a good journey. I've met so many people and so many good people along the way. I've done the 3-day breast cancer walk. Where there's people there. It's amazing. Yes.
How long has it been? How many years for you?
I was diagnosed in 2009, so it's been 11 years.
Oh wow, that's awesome. I mean, you know, yeah, I have to say I commend you. You know, Jaleesa's mom is a breast cancer survivor also.
Congratulations. Oh yeah, she's fought that journey, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's hers was in 1993, so she's 79 now.
Okay.
Oh wow.
For her.
That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yes. So
Congratulations to you too.
Thank you.
Exactly. So you've done pretty well, Vaughn, as far as going. Do you still have to maintain your breast exams and self exams?
Well, in the one that didn't have any surgery to, I have to go every year. And I always schedule it in my birthday month. That way I can remember to go.
Right.
And to get it done in my birthday month.
Right, exactly. So I did have another question for you. For our viewers, I know it's a kind of, you know, a scary thing. Do they have like counseling set up for women who are going through this type of treatment?
They do offer women, when you first go through, they do have people that will sit and counsel with you and kind of tell you what's coming forward or what you're supposed to do and how to handle it. I say get a support team. I have a group of 5 women or 4 women that are my support team, have been my backbone other than my family and friends. And so I had a really good support team going in, but there are certain counseling sessions that you can find at the doctor's office that they will refer you to with the help that you need or get any questions answered.
Yes, wow. And there's another thing I wanted to mention too. I think it's very important for women to start doing your own self breast exams in their 30s.
Early.
Would you guys agree?
I do.
Yeah.
I agree. Start doing it there. And if you find something before you reach 40, at least you know to go in to have it checked. And then when you're 40, start doing your mammograms. Yes.
Right. Exactly. And you know what, fellas, I don't want you guys to think that you guys are like in the clear, because men get breast cancer too.
They do, but
that happened.
Yeah. I mean, would you say it's rare, Vaughn?
It's rare.
It's rare.
It's rare, but they don't go through the mammogram procedures. They do self-examination, and because they don't have a lot of fatty tissue in their breast. So it goes from, if you've noticed a lump or anything like that, then you go straight to biopsy.
Wow. Okay. Wow. My goodness.
So, Vaughn, when would you recommend that girls or women actually start self-examination before they actually go and have an actual mammogram?
I say start in your early 30s. If it doesn't run in your family at all, start early. Because now it's becoming younger and younger. People are being diagnosed at a younger age now. So start early 30s when the hormones and everything start to change. You know, you become, you know, you're in childbearing years. I think you should start in your 30s or early 30s.
Yeah.
So should you go to your doctor to show you, you know, how to do the self-exam?
Yes. They have all different kinds of information on it, or you can go online and find it. It'll tell you exactly how to do your self-examinations.
Right. They even have little picture cards that you can put up in your shower to show you how to do your own breast exam while you're in your shower. That's a good time to do it as well.
Yeah. And it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And it would be considered, if I'm not mistaken, as preventive care. So your healthcare provider, if you go to the doctor and have a mammogram, it should be actually covered 100%.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or
I was just about to say that.
If you don't have health care, then they do offer free mammograms. You can go online and free mammogram sessions.
Okay, perfect. Because, some women don't have insurance. It's crazy to know that we're so blessed that we have insurance, but there are a lot of women who don't have insurance.
Right.
So I'm happy to know that they can actually go online and, find a place where they can actually get, the mammograms for free.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And
I do have a more intimate question, and I put it just out there to you, my ladies. Unfortunately, there's always a lot of horror stories out on the internet and how much a mammogram can hurt. I mean, what is the reality? How much does it really hurt, or is it just uncomfortable?
It's a little of both. It's a little of both. It really is, because it does. I can't sit here and tell you it doesn't hurt. I'd be lying.
Right.
Yeah.
But on the hurt factor, okay, and that question comes for me, of course, great. But on a hurt scale, I mean, is it like a crucial pain, or is it something, okay, I had pain, you walk away, and 10 minutes later it's forgotten?
It's like a steamroller when you roll right over it, and it just presses it to compact it, and then you have to hold it for a minute until they take the picture. And so it's there, and it's squeezed between two together. It's like a steamroller, and then it's relief. So it's exactly.
Yeah, I like how you explain that. That's it.
Well, I guess it's uncomfortable and painful. Okay, to compare it to men, so like a prostata exam, period.
Okay, yeah.
So also I wanted to give you, some equivalent of pain we go through. So please, women, don't be afraid. There are definitely worse things, but it's worthwhile.
Right, absolutely.
It'll make a difference in life.
It does. So Vaughn, would you like to give our viewers, our listeners, any more advice? Would you like to share something else that, would encourage them to go and, get their exams and not to forget?
Okay, early exams is the key.
Mm-hmm.
Self-examinations is the key as well. And when you reach 40, make sure you get in. And if you're diagnosed with it, don't be afraid of it. Take it by the bullhorns. And there's so many people out there that live through this. It's a long journey. You meet so many people through it, but it's been an amazing journey for me. I mean, I wouldn't change it. So stay positive. Stay around a lot of people that supports you and that love you, encourage you, and just take it as free spirit as I can do this. It's not a death sentence. It's just a part of your journey, and you can get through it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. I admire and appreciate your bravery with that. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ron. And please, Ron, if you would like, you can just stay on and listen and watch. And if you have to ask, questions during the show, please do.
Thank you so much.
If you have other obligations, we understand.
I'm here. I'm living and learning.
You're here.
All right.
Well, then, Eddie,
Yes,
then
sir.
we are going to move to you. So if I may introduce you, Aditya Satsangi. Did I say that right?
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
Pretty
so
well.
it's close enough. I like that. So Adi, you are like being an immigrant, but from India, a far larger country where I'm from. I mean, with now close to 1.2 billion inhabitants,
1.3,
1.3. Well, so you're nearly as big as China now, or very close.
almost.
Mm.
And being the largest democracy on earth.
That's right.
So we have China on one side, totalitarian. We have India, democratic on the other side. Also, a lot of different languages in India.
A lot of languages.
How many different languages?
So there are 3,600 dialects,
Oh,
and
wow.
and there are approximately 80 to 90 different languages.
Mm.
It's a world in itself.
It's a world in itself. What why you're here is first of all, I shall say because you're Indian and many people don't know much about India. But here today we have the opportunity with someone who is um, how shall I say very deeply rooted in Indian history um, and also in politics. But we want to leave that aside today. And you have now published five different books. You're writing your sixth,
Yes,
and you sold over 600,000 books. Is that right?
that's right. That's right.
Wow. That's
Congratulations. Wow.
awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank
So
you.
at
Mm.
this point,
Thank you.
tell us a little bit about your life journey, how you ended up there.
But before I start off, I'd like to thank you and Liz for welcoming me on your show. So that's a great opportunity.
You're
And
more than welcome.
very happy to be here. I you all know when Indians come from India to US, they have only one purpose in mind, and that's dollars. Rest everything we have good in India. We have good weather, great beaches, great mountains. Everything is good. A lot of food. Everything is good there. But people come here for money, and I came here as an IT professional,
Mhm.
and my good luck has been very good. So did well there, and I decided to write these books, and I'm myself very surprised that it has been become so successful. I created a new brand name for myself. So you must have heard the word mythology, Mythology,
Mhm.
Ology. And very few Americans know the origin of mythology is an old Sanskrit word called myth, which means imaginary or fake, or can be a folklore where the proofs are not there. And the logos is an Italian word, a Latin word, which means a science or a study. So many of the Western historians wrote, they combined the two, the Sanskrit and the Latin word, and call it mythology. So, but if you look at the word's etymological science, look at the meaning of this word, it actually means the science of fake or myth or the science of lie. The opposite of myth in Sanskrit is sat. Sat means truth. Sat, sat means truth. So I was looking at what I wanted to write because I have a deep penchant for writing history books. Something related to real things helps people build their identity, because whenever the colonizers or any type of oppressor wants to rule a particular community or an individual, the first thing they do is destroy their identity, and then and there is nothing left for that person to defend on. And that's what many of the colonizers did to many continents. We have seen South America, we have seen Asia, we have seen Africa. And unfortunately, the local people, over the years, they've forgotten who their ancestors were. What was their stories? Like, I was very happy when Liz asked Juan, what is your story? That's a very loaded word. If somebody
Yes.
asks, tell your story, normally the question to me, where my mind will go, where should I begin? And because every human being carries a unique story.
Right.
Every community has a story. And but when somebody else comes there and declares that your story was a myth, now that's a big affront, as an abusive term to use against that community or individual. So I coined this new term, combined Sat with Logos. I call it Satology, which means the science of truth, the science of reality, or study of truth. And so all my books I've written in that brand name, and which is a unique. I hope one day it will come in the dictionary, Oxford Dictionary, as a true antonym of mythology.
Wow.
Mm.
But maybe, I mean, I've known you for a while now, and when we were, talking about, your book there, and when you coined that expression, satology, um, I had a lot of questions, and I remember you handing me over your first book, and I called you a couple of days later and said I didn't understand a word of what you were talking about. Because, but kind of not in a negative way, more like a novice, learning new language, new meanings, and of course new history too, because you're just, it's part of your heritage and part of my heritage. So if it's like, me giving you a book of all the German, you know, barbarian gods, in the old days. Um, but what you're trying to do is really to bring all this into modernity,
Right.
to bring it close to your readers, and really, like you said, to debunk, history into this happened in real and this is myth.
That's right.
Mhm.
No, absolutely. Like, I'll tell you one story. I went to Amazon forests last year, and I was traveling through South America, many countries I traveled, and I was not touching the cities. The only time I would touch a city is the airport, and then I would go to their interiors. So I went to the Amazon forest. I was in Chilean jungles. I was in Bulgarian forests. I was in Ecuador,
Mhm.
and I was trying to talk to the locals over there, and I got a lot of cooperation from all those governments as well. And I was talking to the locals, and one thing which struck me was that they do not know their history, or the history is not recorded beyond uh, any time the European conquerors went there. So can you imagine Brazil would not be existing before 1492? Not possible. Brazil was always there.
Right.
And these people have been living, the indigenous people have been living there way before Portuguese came and made Brazil a colony, way before. Their cultures, traditions, their values were all intact. They all had a successful, in their times, a successful economy, successful political system based on how they're living. And I went to Cambodia and Southeast Asia, and even went to some parts of interiors of Italy, because I wanted to see how the Romans were there. Most
Mhm.
of the Roman history is also gone. Forget about other places, is gone, because the Pantheon, if you look at the city of Rome, it has been built three layers. There are three layers of city under the main street that you drive on,
Oh,
and the
Wow.
lowest layer is the first Roman city, and that time that city was mostly built by the Greeks. So the
Mhm.
Greeks had built a city on top of which the Rome was made, but all those symbols have been deliberately removed. Now, what happens is, now I'll tell you a very long-term impact when you remove the history. A child or a human being, any human being, they learn their current life based on their past life, way, way past. The cultures and traditions are carried forward by the genes. But when you have
Mhm.
no physical proof of what they believe in, then that person has lack of confidence, has issues which are related to far, cannot be resolved by a psychologist, cannot be resolved by a psychiatrist. It has a deep
Mhm.
impact on the psyche of that person. And here we are talking about communities, huge, huge communities.
Mhm.
uh, in the case of India, the good thing about India, or the bad thing you can say, Indian society has been pretty well documented for millennia, very, very well documented. British were not able to dismantle it. They could criticize it, but could dismantle it because it has
Mhm.
gone deeper, way deeper. Anything. Germans have been. I know you took your German ancestry. Eric is a good friend of mine, so I know his little bit background, little bit, a lot of things he hides. But so in the German history has been very closely connected with Indian history from millennia. The Germans, some people may say Germany is an industrial powerhouse after World War II. I would challenge that because Germany has been an industrial powerhouse from time immemorial. There are historical records that 2000 years back also they used to make machines. 2000 years back also. Now, so that's why German engineering to even today is considered one of the best. And Eric, I'm not trying to increase your ego, but yes, that's a fact.
I'm like,
Yeah, it is.
I'm like, luckily I'm not an engineer, but my son is.
Yeah. So the history plays a very important role. So I took up, and most of the Americans, when you talk about, like you said correctly, most of the Americans don't know much about India. I'm talking about the regular Americans. There are a lot of Americans who know too much about India also. And many of the politicians know very well. But most of the Americans, I would say 60 to 80% of Americans don't know too much about India because the culture seems to be exactly different. I mean, I would say two ends of the pole, and it is totally different. I mean, the way they think, the way they talk, the way the language is constructed, the things
Mhm.
like predicate, proposition, subject, and object are all reversed. So when an Indian speaks their language, the object is first and the subject is later. And when an American or any Western person speaks their language, even English, the subject is first and the object is later. So that's how the languages are constructed. So it was my humble attempt to put the Indian history in the right way. I give one example. There's a very common knowledge which is being taught across American universities and also the other Western universities. Alexander invaded the whole world. And I found out truth from Moscow University, from Egyptian universities, Cairo, and from Indian records, from Chinese records, and from Central Asian records. I went to places where nobody has gone. In Armenian University. Today, Armenia is in war, but I went there to research. And I wrote an article in one of my first books, Alexander the Mouse. And
Mhm.
it was like throwing a bomb on the floor and let it got burst, and people asking me questions. How can you call Alexander the Mouse? And I gave that talk the first time in Athens, within Greece, at the University of Greece. I gave a talk, Alexander the Mouse. And it was a huge cultural shock. And I am sure there will be some bouncers outside waiting to bash me up. But I gave the talk based on historical records that Alexander could not cross the northwestern part of India, which is today known as Pakistan. And he came with 40,000 soldiers and left with 500 soldiers. And he was
Oh,
so
wow.
injured in the battle that he died in Babylon. Babylon, which is Basra in Iraq. That's where he died. And I must tell you one interesting story about that incident, a true incident. So he was defeated by there's one king called Porus, and while he was going back, he in a village he went and he killed all the while he was coming towards India, he killed all the men, the young people, everyone else. So while he was going back, he had to pass through the village. The women of the village killed 9,500 soldiers of his, just the women, to take revenge for their husbands.
Wow.
Wow.
And Alexander was pretty short height. He was 5'2" stocky man. Won't look good by any standards by today's women. Won't even like him.
Oh boy.
Well,
I do have a question. How are you able to promote your book with the quarantine going on, and what are some of the ways that you have been able to promote your book?
I think I had never tried to promote my book, to be frank with you.
Oh.
And I think it went through word of mouth. I have a lot of friends there, but it went word of mouth. And once people start reading it, the content, in fact, there is a television serial was being made on it.
Oh, wow.
So it became hugely popular because of its content. And my next book is coming out. It's titled, my last book was Karma is a Bitch. And that was hugely popular.
That's a good one.
that's it. Yeah, it is.
Mm.
And it is. And I don't know if I'm, I'm advancing myself too much here, but currently you're writing another book, which is totally different from any of the books you've written before.
That's right. So one of these, the books which I have is just coming out, and another one I'm working on. My sixth book is written on the greatest king of the world. Very few people know that in the past, around 5,000 years back, the whole world was ruled by one king. And my next book is Dharmic Americanism, which is why I'm risking my life all over the world, trying to go to the native cultures, interviewing them, and finding out what is their culture, what is their identity, and how they were living in the past, who destroyed it. Because most of the time, the history is written by the oppressors or the colonizers, people who are actually colonizing it. And when they teach their version, they take you far away from our own culture. I'm an immigrant in this country, but I'm worried about Native Americans, because Native Americans are the original inhabitants of this country.
Right.
And many Americans don't know. The Americans gave them a US citizenship to Native Americans in 1924. They were not considered the citizens of this country before 1924. How ironical is that? We are coming to somebody else's house, and now we're giving the house ownership certificate to those people. Okay, you own the house. I certify that. Now,
But Eddie, I have to say, we could go on for hours, you and I, on that one, anyhow. But before we go and speak to Jolisa, I just want to say, for people which are interested in history and other things, I mean, you do have opinions. Of course, you've done a lot of research. I don't want to call you the Indiana Jones of history books, because
I'm not.
No, I'm not sure you would like that comparison, because one is really fiction, and you're going back to facts.
But I like his hats.
Yeah, yeah. If they look you up, on the internet, they will see you with your hat. That's for sure. Eddie, thank you so much, for being on the show, and for you too. Please just stay on. Yeah, we will be moving on to Jolisa and Liz. I let you make the introduction.
All right. So she's been waiting patiently. Jolisa is our follow-up guest. She was here. She was probably one of our second guests.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have Jolisa Webb, divorce coach and owner of Beauty in the Midst. And I always have to say, highly decorated veteran, retired lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. I love it. And she's a supermodel. I had to say that. Exactly. So Jolisa, I hear that you are changing a few things up now. you know, you're going to be, you know, changing a few things up. You mentioned feminine goddess, and I absolutely love that. I would love for you to tell us what you've been up to.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you and Eric for having me back on the show. I'm so excited to be here. And it was just wonderful to be part of this group of these other two guests that you have on the show today. I really enjoyed listening to their stories and the work that they're doing to promote you promote breast cancer and also to promote what it sounds like is literacy as it relates to India. So, because I admit I am no, I don't know much about India, so I will look forward to learning a little bit more and probably perusing at least one or two of your books at some point. So.
Right.
But thank you so much for the introduction, Liz. And I am deliberately wearing white today. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I do want women who are, no matter where they are in the divorce process, whether they're in the midst of it or trying to recover for, just to remember not to dim their light. You're a goddess always, no matter what's going on. And so it's very important for you to remember, you know, not to dim your light for anyone. And I know that can be kind of hard. It can be easier said than done because a lot of times when women are going through divorce, and men for that matter too, your self-esteem can take a bit of a toll. You know, your self-esteem, you can feel a little bit depressed, a little bit sad, you can grieve a little bit. And sometimes as a result of that, you end up having problems with eating, you know, sleeping, you lose weight, you gain weight. And one of the things that sometimes happens is people take this attitude, well, I feel terrible, so I may as well look terrible too. And that is not the attitude that we want you to have.
That's right.
We do not want you to have that attitude at all. So what I want to talk just a little bit about today is divorce and fashion. You know, when you're going through a divorce, you're transitioning. You know, this is going to be a new normal for you. And as a divorce coach, one of my primary jobs is to help my clients to be their thinking partner about a lot of different things. And one of the things that I really like to try to work with them on is getting them to think about how they're showing up, because the way you look and the way you present yourself, depending on if you're, hey, I love sitting around on Saturdays and Sundays in my pajamas with the best of them, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing that says, you know, every time you get ready to go to the grocery store, you got to beat your face and, you know, spend an hour putting your hair up and all of that stuff. But if you find yourself in a situation that's steady state where you're not concerned about your outer appearance, you could be missing out on some very important opportunities. You could be missing out on opportunities at work. You could be missing out on opportunities to meet people. You could be, you know, your friends went from saying, oh, girl, to, ooh, girl. I mean, who wants that to happen?
Exactly.
So we, you know, part of my conversation with my clients is to really help them think about, you know, how are you showing up, and just remind them that you really don't have to look like what you're going through. And so I just want to touch on 3 really quick tips to kind of get you started with that. And they all kind of center around decluttering and just doing an inventory of your closet and your wardrobe, you know. And so one of the first things that you want to think about is do you need to get your sexy back? I mean, do you need to get your sexy back? I mean, when I got divorced, I was, I think 45, 46. My daughter was 13. And, you know, I looked around and realized that I had one extreme or the other when it came to clothes. I either had my professional clothes for when I was going to work, or I had clothes for like really fancy gowns or something like that if I was going to a charity function or some type of, really gala or something like that. But I really didn't have a lot of clothes to just, go to a nice concert. Because as I think about it, I guess my husband and I really didn't do a lot of that kind of stuff. So live music, things like that, just kick it with my girlfriends. And even if you want to go kick it with your girlfriends, there's a different way you kind of dress when you're married and you go kick it with your girlfriends.
Right.
And when you're divorced or single and you go kick it with your girlfriends, So I had to really think about it. So as you're no matter where you are in the process, one of the things you want to start thinking about is, what do I want my life to look like now? What type of activities am I going to be engaging in now? And when I go out with my girls, do I want to have a girl next door look? Do I want to have a fun and fabulous flirty look? Or do I want to have the I need to call the paparazzi on myself look when I walk out? Which look do I want to have when I go out? And that's powerful. And so that's something that you want to think about, because you may have had clothes that reminded you or kind of aligned with the life that you were going to have with your spouse. And this is for men too, the life that you were going to have with your spouse. This is a great opportunity to get rid of that dress that he bought you that he thought was cute and he wants you to wear it all the time. Just kind of humored him.
Exactly.
Because you really thought it, or for guys, that shirt that she's always trying to make you put on with the tie. Come on, honey, put this on with that tie. And you're like, ew, so this is a great time to take a look at all of that. And you know what? You can release it with love, let it go to the gods and move on. Don't look back. Just give it away, donate it, give it to a friend, sell it, and don't look back. And there's nothing to feel badly about, in that process.
Right.
The other thing you want to think about is how your underwear look. Do you need to step up your underwear game?
That's
I'm
right.
just going to pause for a second, because we all know we get very comfortable when we're married. The bras and panties don't have to match. You got those same old boxers. Got that t-shirt, that little tank top with the little stain on it, the little tear. Whatever, so we can get very comfortable when we get married, as it relates to our underclothes. And here's the thing about that. This has nothing, well, I won't say has absolutely nothing to do with anybody else, but guess what? This has a lot to do with just you. I mean,
exactly.
You want to think about putting on something sexy, something silky, something that feels good to your skin,
Right.
So this is a perfect time to go out and get those satin and silk, get those satin and lace panties with the matching bra, and get those silk boxers that feel like, fly when you can walk around in them, strut in them, get comfortable with them.
That's
it can be your little secret when you're at work, or wherever, that you got something. I really got something that's close to my body that's feeling good, and I love
exactly.
myself. So this is what I'm doing for myself. And the last tip, the last thing I want you to think about is and this is especially important right now because a lot of us are working from home. And I know there's a tendency when you're at home to just put on those sweats and, just walk around with your socks and wear your pajamas that you got up in and drag out the laptop on the bed and all that stuff. And, you really want to think about that one too. I mean, you really want to think about it. I know some people are giving up because of COVID, but you don't have to be one of them, especially with the holidays coming around too, because the other thing that happens when we are wearing clothes that don't fit well, that are baggy and loose, that's a recipe for overeating and overindulging.
Yeah, that's right.
Napping, taking a nap right after you get it, to get the itis or whatever, and you just want to go curl up on the bed and take a nap. So these are definitely no-nos. And I mean, think about it. If someone knocked on your door right now how do you feel when people knock on your door and they persist and you feel like you got to answer it? I mean, are you prepared to answer it? Or are you kind of peeking around the door going, yes, because you don't have it all together. So that is something to think about. And this doesn't have to be every day, but there are a lot of really cute lounge outfits that you can wear. You happen to have a friend who's a fabulous, famous celebrity designer. You can up and say, "Hey, girl, hey, can you help me out with something?"
Exactly.
I need to feel good. I want to feel good, and a lot of times, believe it or not, when you feel good on the outside, sometimes feeling good on the inside starts with the way you look on the outside. So
exactly.
Sometimes it's not about, you can't tell which one, which one is a chicken and which one is the egg in that incident. So
right.
Either one of them can drive it. And so, those are just 3 of the tips that I really wanted to share today. This is the perfect time to start making a plan for what you're going to do with the holidays coming up. You don't have to dress up for anybody. You can dress up for yourself.
Exactly.
Consider this a form of self-love too, right? Self-love,
that's right.
Because if you feel good and if you're demonstrating love and care for yourself, guess what? It makes it easier for you to pass it on to other people. And it makes it easier for you to show up as your best self. And so that's really what this is all about. It's an opportunity for you to reinvent yourself.
Exactly.
How you want to show up. So I hope I gave you some nice tips.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But Jolisa,
yes?
Jolisa, can I also take that as pre-divorce advice? Because
absolutely.
I want my wife to see this.
Oh, she might be watching. You never know.
But Eric, you bring up a good point, because as a divorce coach, we do work with people that are part of it is stay or go. So when people are trying to figure out whether they need to stay or go, sometimes part of the conversation we have with them, because this isn't just about blame the other person and make everything the other person's fault. This is an opportunity. Let's get honest and let's make sure that we're looking at some of the things that we may be doing that might be causing our spouse to have a particular, to feel a certain way about us. So do we need to, how are we showing up in the marriage too? So
step up our game.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a great question, Eric. That's a really great question.
Yes, absolutely.
I
think it's very important, for us to feel good about ourselves, and then of course it shows on the outside, people, they'll be, I would say, a little more interested, but we have to take the bull by the horn, and take care of ourselves and do self-care, self-love. And it definitely shows and it feels better because there's a lot going on now. And, to take that route and, dressing for ourselves, that'll take you a long ways.
This definitely people should look up your website. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I have some love pieces.
And but Jolisa, coming just back to what's happening. Do you feel an uptick? For yourself, having more clients during this hard times?
Yes, I mean, unfortunately, stressful times can bring out stressful times can create stress, and particularly when you're in close quarters, particularly when there's a lot of uncertainty going on, particularly if you have kids in the house too, and it can create a lot. But I find even with couples who are empty nesters that had to come home and start working with each other, They realized a lot that they didn't have a lot in common anymore. It's like they were with a stranger, whereas going to work kind of gave them an outlet, and they could just kind of pass over and have these more superficial conversations. You know, now you're in the house. Now you're really, you know, seeing this person. Now the least little thing, like how they eat cereal, can get on your nerves. You know?
Exactly.
So
Oh
I didn't
my
realize
God.
she's back in the house, you know, because and the way people deal with stress is different, you know. So you might have, you know, your wife, all of a sudden she's vacuuming, you know, incessantly about 4 or 5 times a day, but because that's her way of relieving stress. But it's annoying to you because you're trying to do so. So there are just a lot of there are a lot of things that kind of surface, you know, when we have when we're in the midst of something that's very uncertain, and we haven't been engaging in practices that cultivate a lot of intimacy in the relationship. Because if you're working to cultivate intimacy in a relationship, then you have established a pattern where you communicate regularly and you check in with each other, and you kind of know what the person's triggers are, and where the person's frame of mind is right now. But if you haven't been doing that, either because you didn't know how to do it, or you just never found the time to do it, or you just didn't think about doing it, then all these are the kinds of things that'll come up in a situation such as the one that we find ourselves in right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Well,
that's some very good tips. Very, very good tips. Things that you don't even think about, you know. I tell you.
Yeah.
like I said,
And something you said
go ahead.
Oh no, something Liz said about dressing for yourself made me think of the old James Brown song "Super Bad," where he said, "I want to jump back and kiss myself." You know, that's the kind of thing you want to think about when you put on your clothes. It's like when you put on your clothes, do you want to jump back and kiss yourself? I mean, because if not, what makes you think anybody else is going to want to?
Right.
That's one of the real quick, easy tests for how you're showing up. It's like, if you don't feel like you look good, and if you don't feel like you want to jump back and kiss yourself, then you probably need to go do something differently with what you're wearing.
Exactly. Sometimes I get dressed up. My husband, he's like, where are you going? I'm like, oh, I'm getting dressed for me. This is for me. This one's, you know, because you feel good. You know, it makes you feel good. Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally understand. Totally. It's like every morning, you know, I dress up. Even that I stay all day at home, at least it gives me some feeling, you know, of, you know, happiness, just being there, and still enjoy the day, make a point. We are just not going to Fritz right now, literally.
And that's important. That's very important. You know, it's a way of keeping your spirits up. It's a way of letting your light shine. It's a way of comforting yourself. And it seems so simple that but sometimes people just don't think it matters. But it's fascinating how something that simple can make such a huge difference.
Right, exactly.
I totally agree.
So do I.
Well, is there anything of you that you would like to ask yourself or each other?
Any questions, Vaughn?
I think I must say one thing, that I'm very impressed by the story of Vaughn, and I think it's a story of bravery. And I really want to congratulate her that she has done well and being an inspiration for other people.
Thank you so much.
And for
Yes,
Jolisa,
I was thinking about the running the marathons and the half marathons. I was like, whoa, this is a powerhouse. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But you take care of the inside, it'll take care of you. That's for sure.
Right. That's for sure.
But I thought, you know what I thought too, since we're on the subject, thought it was a beautiful testimony to the love that your husband has for you, that he noticed, and that he was concerned, and that he persisted, and that he was engaged, so that's the kind of intimacy that I was just kind of talking about, is just and how lucky you are to have someone in your life that cares and pays attention to you like that. So
right, exactly.
He was definitely my rock, that's for sure. And
that's
so
beautiful.
it helps when you say you what you put on, you should feel good about it. And so it's been 30 years, and I still encourage myself to get it together and keep it together.
Right.
You look beautiful.
Yeah, you do. You look beautiful, Vaughn. Beautiful.
Yes. I appreciate that. I mean, I've taken some notes from you. I mean, even though we're not looking into divorce or anything, but some of those pointers are take care of yourself. You know,
exactly.
You want to feel good and you want to look good. And then that's how it's always projected from the other side. So
yes.
Exactly.
The funny thing about taking care of yourself, and a lot of times we tend to think it's a very selfish act, but really think of it like this: if you don't fill your own cup up, then you start serving people from your cup, and the next thing you know, it's empty. So you want to have the capability to, keep your own cup full, do what you need to do to replenish that cup, keep it full, so that you can serve people from your saucer. And so it helps give you, because you can't give people what you don't have. And so if you don't know how to love yourself, if you don't know how to care for yourself, then it's harder for you to pass that on to other people. And what's worse is sometimes we have the expectation for people to meet certain needs that they're not capable of meeting, and it's unfair to them, and we build up resentment with them, that's kind of needless, and it just causes all kinds of negative energy and negative interaction. So self-care and self-love are extremely important in this period, not just in marriage, but just in life in general.
Absolutely.
For Julissa, I would like to say that she had made some very good points. I won't talk about divorce thing because that's personal to many people. But did give very good points on how
Very
it's
good.
important to love oneself. And one thing I'd like to add also there: inner contentment, inner self-fulfillment, it displays on your face or your dressing as well, and how you dress, how you present yourself. So externally we must try to look best whatever we can, because it helps in the social society generally, to how we are received or perceived. There's a very good saying by one of my good friends. He said, first dress, then address. And it does
I love that.
that's
and it does add value. But self inner contentment, knowing who you are, where you come from, also adds a lot of value, because oftentimes you're talking about self-confidence, but you need to know what is the self, and then confidence automatically comes.
Right.
Yes, I love what you said about when you were talking about it was almost like a disconnect, because when the history hasn't been passed on, but it's passed on in the genes. So people, your body and your mind and your spirit feel some things, but there's nothing in society that kind of validates it there, because everything has been taken away or stripped or buried or hidden by the people who oppressed or colonized. So yes, that really fascinated me, and that's why I'm going to be interested in looking at your books.
Absolutely.
Well, I guess on that note, thank you all so much, for being part of the show. And
yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Ron.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're more than welcome. We enjoyed having you today. And Julissa, we enjoyed following up with you.
Oh, I appreciate you guys so much. This was just great. Thank you so much for having me back.
Absolutely. And I'm going to have to go and pick up one of your books also.
Thank you.
Well, Addie?
Absolutely.
On Amazon, if you go and search for Sattology, Sattology,
And
you'll get
all
all of
right. Cytology. Okay, got it.
Okay, guys. Wish you a great weekend. And
yeah, you guys have a phenomenal weekend.
how should I do like this and vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, go vote. Go and vote. It's so very important.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Take
Love you
care.
guys.
See you,
Bye.
Vaughn.
Guys.
See you, Jaleesa. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right. And we are still live.